Hey, Danny, first of all, I want to thank you for being with us today. I know you're in high demand, so we really appreciate your time with us. And I also would like to take the opportunity to thank you for your input back in the day and your suggestions that have led to what we now call Edit Mode Anywhere. And yeah, we couldn't be more excited about how this turned out, right? So yeah, let's talk a little bit about what we see in the industry, right? You work in the front line and you talk to customers across the industries directly. What is your take on what this means for clients and your company, Dept, being at the forefront of digital transformation?
Yeah, so for me and for our customers, Edit Mode Anywhere kind of impacts us in two major ways. The first one being just around the ability to select your technology stack, so with no compromise or limitations. So we could, as you guys have said before, we could choose any JavaScript framework or library from React, Angular, or Vue, but server-side technology as well, such as Java, .NET Framework, and .NET Core, all come into the mix. So that opens up the world of accessibility to dotCMS in a really big way. So that's really exciting. The dotCMS could obviously access or be accessed through these technologies through the APIs it had before, but now you have the ability to eradicate the issue of having to duplicate effort. So you might have a .NET app consuming the APIs, but you still have to support the editorial experience natively and within the CMS. So you guys have eradicated that issue wholeheartedly, plus open the door to all your other APIs and rich feature set, which is excellent. So essentially, you guys have put that control right back where it belongs, which is with the customers and with the implementers, and that's really, really good to see, and it's a huge step forward. And the way it's done is really slick. I mean, the demo that Will's just given us, it really is that smooth once it's in place and when it's done. Additional bonuses for that are also in the realms of technical, but also from business perspectives. So you kind of touched on this earlier, Stefan, in that, you know, from a business and marketing perspective, you can really focus on letting technology work for the business, right? So you can design your solutions along with technology implementations and tools like no code with Edit Mode Anywhere, and you can really enable your marketers and your businesses to do what they need to do and start making technology value add rather than a constant implementation cycle of changes that need to be built into large, highly complex systems. But it also adds additional benefits to things like integrations. So again, something you mentioned is the efficiency of putting these things in. So you now don't have a scenario where the CMS integration and the website integration are synonymous in any way, which means that your integrations are a lot more lightweight. So introducing a DAM or a product information database or any other external system marketing automation tools, you can focus on just getting data into the CMS, to be able to tag and relate content and data, enhance it and enrich that data, while providing integrations on the website end that can focus purely on consuming and composition of that data. So focus on building SDKs and custom frameworks that really support it. So those are all just excellent things. And I think that the second thing for me that is really good about this is the control over CI/CD processes. So what you guys have done is remove all barriers, whether it's you're using Jenkins or TeamCity for your continuous integration, but then things like Azure or Octopus Deploy for your content delivery. Those pipelines are yours to define. And Edit Mode Anywhere is just one of those tools that enables that in the latest offering. But also the concepts you guys have done around scripted APIs and APIs as a service, really, really cool. Enables you to introduce that into your processes and your pipelines. But also the concept that containers are now file-based. That means, again, the deployment and capabilities that for people introducing your platform are endless. There's nothing that people can't do. So really, really exciting additions. And as I've said to you guys before, I think it's a new standard and benchmark in enterprise CMS platforms.
Great. Well, thanks, Danny. And I just got a message from Stefan. He's struggling with his internet, so this is live without a net and not pre-recorded. So I'll go ahead and I'll take the next question. I think the next question that was before us was that we see a lot of demand in the marketplace for headless capabilities. Danny, what do you think is driving the demand for brands to go with and to look for headless content management solutions?
Yeah, and this is one that you guys again have touched on today, and it's the idea of being able to supply content distribution and data distribution in that omnichannel experience. So it's a general statement, but and covers a lot of ground, appreciated. But true headless is fundamental to be able to achieve that. So our customers' content and data holds a lot of value to them and their customers, and to have the ability to frame that data in any way, whether it's from digital signage to kiosks to web apps to mobile apps, to have a consistent experience that can be targeted, analyzed, and deployed through lightweight performant APIs is fundamental. And dotCMS offers that in a really good way with feature-rich and very mature APIs that are extremely performant. And I would like to add, even on modest infrastructure, dotCMS performs extremely well.
Yeah. Well, and I see, the prime driver for headless adoption is really the same thing that originally drove CMS adoption 15, 20 years ago, right? Which is the fact that it shouldn't take an IT team or a support ticket when you want to make a content change or manage some content that's being delivered to your customers, right? And in a modern, internet ecosystem, brands are delivering not web experiences, well, they are, but they're also encouraging, and engaging customers across all different kinds of channels and devices and players. And, and they've found themselves in doing that and in working and trying to engage across all of these different channels in the same place that they were 15 years ago, where they need to open a support ticket if they want to change some of the content in their, in their app that's in the App Store. And that's just, we've seen this movie, and it's just an unsustainable paradigm, really. And Headless and Hybrid CMSs allow business users the control that they're expecting, just like, traditional web CMSs did, 15 years ago, right? There are limitations to pure headless, headless play.
Exactly, and that again comes down to the value, right? Because people are not only supplying those channels for people to consume that content and that data, but they're actually supplying feeds to that data directly through abstract layers on top of the CMSs, again, you realize that value in a different way and provide that contextual outcome that people are really looking for. So it's definitely the way that things need to be looked at.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, from Stefan, you back?
I'm back. Thanks for covering, Will.
Okay, yeah, no problem. We were just talking about how, why we've seen, the rise of headless in the marketplace. And, but I'm personally of the opinion that, a pure headless play is not the answer. And I think, we've been talking with Gartner and Forrester and, on this very topic, and they firmly believe that hybrid CMS solution is a longer-term solution for content management. This is something that I feel very strongly about, and I don't know, Danny, what your thoughts are on that.
100% agree. Hybrid brings a lot of advantages to all aspects of the business, right? So from a technical and marketing perspective, you've got URL handling. You showed a quick demo there of being able to introduce pages and routes into your apps. These are things that people want to do all the time. And the hybrid capability to be able to support both the technical need for those requirements, but the editorial experience is really key. So content and preview editing has to be a factor in the way that's handled. Other advantages are faster development, deployment features, which you guys have mentioned. Features like search, which again, I know you guys offer out the box, but being able to access that data, all being in the same place, the same repository, makes those things easy to access and apply contextual experiences to them. And again, that marketing and campaign support, right? So having data available, but also have that editorial experience to support how the business needs to grow is really important. So I know we've only talked about a few advantages, but there are a lot, and those are basic challenges that many companies go through, on a regular basis. So I guess the hybrid really gives you the freedom to choose with confidence, right? To know that you've got something that's going to grow with you in the future, meet your requirements, and do you justice, And other platforms may introduce the whole API headless component, but it's often an addition to a platform that's too heavy to change, right? Because it's an adoption that hasn't been from its core. It's not at its heart, which is where dotCMS is very different. It's an API first platform, and you really feel that when you start to work with it, and you start to see progress very, very quickly. So yeah, that hybrid approach is really, really key.
Yeah, and I mean, I really feel that the hard truth for the pure headless players is the fact that business users inevitably are going to want to be able to do more than really be just data entry and management people, right? I mean, from a pure headless approach, really what's happening there is they're just sending, database rows as JSON, and content editors are going in and manage the content. But, I think we're going to see the headless players move towards providing that editorial experience that you're talking about, Danny, because it's just, I think inevitably it's just a pure headless approach isn't enough, right? And the other component is that they're real table stakes to being what I'd consider an enterprise hybrid content management system, right? It's not there are features and functions within that take years and not months to develop, right? And I think these include things like, rich versioning, content variants, being able to support multilingual capabilities, and not only just multilingual content, but providing different, the ability to support different multilingual strategies, from falling back, intelligently to even, being able to deliver customized workflows that can manage content throughout the content lifecycle. All of these capabilities wrap around the editorial experience, and those aren't, again, it's much more than just popping open a piece of content and changing the title of a link or something like that. And I think that the headless players are going to come up against that.
Yeah, and I would like to add something to that. I mean, if I'm talking to marketing teams and see what they do, I mean, outside managing content that's being exposed on apps and then, corporate websites and what have you, the majority of the time is spent on creating landing pages for digital campaigns that they're executing, whether it's, below the line or above the line. And that's where I feel hybrid CMSs play really well, because you don't want to build, let's say, a single page app every single time that, a marketing team wants to do a landing page, right? So that's where I feel a hybrid CMS like dotCMS that has a delivery tier as well really helps them to really crank out a landing page in minutes, really. I mean, that's really where I think hybrid CMSs differentiate and stand out from pure headless players.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Again, Will, thanks for covering this little breakup. I mean, both you guys have been in this space for quite a while, right? And you worked with, Will, you only work with dotCMS, obviously, but Danny, you work for an agency, so you've seen, multiple CMS solutions. What do you see as the next big thing in the CMS world?
So, big question for a big world, that one, isn't it? But I would say that the personalized and engaging customer experiences that we've talked a little bit about, along with, machine learning and AI is what people are looking for. We've talked quite a bit about the marketing support, the technology working for the customers. And, when we talk about personalization, we're not just talking about adding a couple of rules in to change a banner. We're talking about influence over the content changing and the design and the layout. So having those capabilities and to influence those aspects of your applications is what's important, right? It needs to be more than just changing an image or changing some text, but also providing the insights and the analytics to the customers, right? Because it's fine being able to test and then make a decision and then provide the outcome, but you need to continually learn from that. So you need to understand what your trends are within your business and, the insights and analytics that can be plumbed in to your applications life cycles, especially from the commerce side, it is really, really important. And it's the only real true way to drive revenue and realize, value out of what you have at your fingertips from technology and from a data perspective. So those are the things I would say that people need to look out for and focus on. And I think any company that can get ahead of that game, provide something that is not only powerful from the customer experience, but from the marketing editorial experiences as well. So make that easy to get going. We'll have a winning formula there, in my opinion.
And I
agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. Yeah, AI is obviously the next big thing with regard to content management. And as Danny said, it's not just it's not just the personalization of content, but it's also can come into play with regard to layout and design, right? And already AI is capable of generating testable variants of content, of page layouts, and those type of capabilities embedded will be inevitably embedded into any CMS or delivery of content, any sort of delivery pipeline of content to users. We've really begun over the past 15 years, as a group, we've begun generating a long tail of really mineable personal data that's only just begun to be understood, right? And as future AI becomes smarter, it's going to continue to mine that long tail of personal data and learn actually new insights from it that AI today doesn't see. And so what that means is that AI-driven personalization will become more subtle. Even today, I feel like AI personalization's a little bit ham-handed. I mean, you can still see the connections between something you've done, some action you've taken in the past, some link you've clicked on, something you've asked Alexa, and then what's being displayed, when you go to visit a personalized website. You talk about, you're in your living room with Alexa and you're talking about your living room rug looks old, and then, you can then go to, Amazon and see, oh, look, they have a new sale on living room rugs. Like, you can still see those connections. I think future forward, as AI continues to iterate and mine the data that we're generating about ourselves, those connections are going to disappear to us. And AI will be able to make connections that we're not going to be able to follow, but will still provide a very personalized and customized and fresh experience, and we'll really begin to seem to know what we want to do or what we're looking for almost before we do. And so, absolutely, I mean, the next big thing with regard to content management, is AI beginning to pervade the delivery of that content to be able to deliver those types of fresh and personalized experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with both of you guys. Definitely huge on our roadmap. So we've come to the last question before we move on to questions from the audience. Danny, you have intimate knowledge of dotCMS, and a product is obviously never done, right? Keeps us up the street. But what would be high on your wish list, for dotCMS? I mean, obviously no guarantees that we will deliver it in the next release, but I would like to hear your thoughts on what would be a cool thing from a product point of view.
Yeah, and I think there's two parts to this for me. There's the product point of view and then the more technical, selfish point of view. And I think from the product point of view, it's the customer insights and the personalization experiences from your platform. I mean, your system already offers all the APIs people would ever need. And I think the ability to leverage that and plumb in reporting and insights and really drive that personalization experience from your platform and your APIs will not only be a seriously slick experience, but I think it'll be a really good outcome. So I would really like to see that as a superb addition to the platform. But I think from a technical perspective, I'd like to see .NET SDKs. So I work a lot in multiple languages, Java, .NET, and all of that. But I think that we could really accelerate people's ability to develop on something that's already fast to build with a set of predefined SDKs, frameworks, and libraries for SPAs, which you guys have already taken care of, .NET Core and framework, along with Java. I think some pre-built stuff there in those areas would be really, really good to see.
Right. Yeah. No. And I'm sure we're equally excited to work with you guys, obviously, to bring that to the market.